Chapter 1. A New Beginning in Willow Ridge. The sun had barely crested the rolling hills of Willow Ridge, Arkansas, when Miriam Lapp stepped outside, the cool morning air brushing against her cheeks. Dew clung to the tall grass in the fields, sparkling like tiny diamonds in the soft light, and the distant sound of a rooster crowing echoed through the valley. This was the kind of morning that reminded her why she loved Willow Ridge, a quiet town tucked between forested hills, where time moved slower, and every neighbor knew the rhythm of life by heart. Miriam tightened her shawl around her shoulders and inhaled deeply, letting the scent of fresh earth and wildflowers fill her senses. Her father, Jacob Lapp, was already outside, walking beside the horse-drawn buggy they kept for errands into town or trips to neighboring farms. He was adjusting the harness straps with practiced ease, his strong hands sure and confident. Miriam, he called without looking up. After breakfast, I'll need you to help with the churn. We might have visitors later today. Miriam's heart skipped. Visitors in Willow Ridge were rare. More often than not, the community welcomed new neighbors with caution, preferring the familiar comfort of known faces. But there was a buzz in the air today, a mixture of excitement and curiosity that seemed to ripple through the Lapp homestead. Who was coming? Miriam asked, trying to sound casual. Jacob glanced at her with a faint smile, brushing a lock of hair from his forehead. Not sure, child. Just heard from the bishop that a family is relocating here. They're coming from Pennsylvania, seeking a simpler life. Miriam's mind wandered as she helped set the table for breakfast, arranging the fresh bread, churned butter, and steaming mugs of herbal tea. She wondered about the family, how many children they had, what work they did, and whether they would fit into the tight-knit community of Willow Ridge. She also felt a strange flutter of anticipation, though she could not name the source. By mid-morning, the rhythmic clip-clop of hooves on gravel announced the arrival of the newcomers. Miriam stepped onto the porch to watch as a modest buggy crested the hill, carrying a man, a woman, and a small boy. The man's eyes scanned the open fields with quiet awe, while the woman held her son close, whispering softly, her voice carrying both hope and a touch of nervousness. Jacob stepped forward to greet them, his face warm and welcoming. Welcome to Willow Ridge. I'm Jacob Lapp. May I help you with your belongings? The man gave a slight bow, relief flickering across his features. Thank you. I'm Samuel Yoder, and this is my wife, Hannah, and our son, Eli. We've heard about this community, and we hope to begin a new chapter here. Miriam felt a curious excitement as she watched them. There was something gentle and strong about the Yoders, the way Samuel spoke calmly, how Hannah's voice carried a quiet confidence, and the way little Eli's laughter filled the air. She knew immediately that this family would be a good fit in Willow Ridge. Hannah carefully lifted Eli from the buggy. The boy's dark eyes darted around, wide with curiosity and wonder, taking in the rolling fields, the distant barns, and the scent of fresh hay. You'll find Willow Ridge is peaceful, Jacob said. The community here is close-knit. If you need anything, don't hesitate to ask. Miriam's curiosity won over her shyness. I can show you the path to your new home, she offered softly. Samuel nodded, and together they began walking down the narrow dirt lane, the boy skipping alongside them, his laughter bright in the crisp morning air. As they walked, Miriam noticed the careful attention Samuel paid to every detail, the way he admired the barns painted in muted reds and browns, the grazing horses, and the neat fences that lined each property. Hannah's gaze, meanwhile, seemed to take in every person they passed, nodding politely but carefully, as if assessing not only the land but the community itself. You'll live just beyond the ridge, Miriam explained, pointing toward a small cluster of modest homes near the edge of the forest. It's quiet there, perfect for a family wanting peace and hard work. You'll have fields to plant and neighbors who'll help if you ask. Hannah smiled softly, her hands clasped around Eli's small ones. It sounds perfect, she said. Thank you, Miriam. We've never been to Arkansas before, but everything here feels right. The rest of the morning passed in a gentle flurry of introductions. Neighbors peeked over fences, curious but polite, and one by one, they greeted the Yoders with warm smiles and cautious friendliness. By midday, Samuel and Hannah had settled into their new home, and Eli had discovered a small creek where he eagerly attempted to catch minnows with his hands, laughing every time they slipped away. Miriam lingered near the edge of the yard, watching the family adjust. She felt a mixture of joy and admiration, a sense that their arrival would bring new energy and life to Willow Ridge. She looked forward to knowing them, helping them, and learning from the wisdom of a family who had made a big change to start anew. By mid-afternoon, Miriam returned to the Yoder home, carrying a basket of fresh-baked bread, butter, and a small jar of honey from their own bees. Her father had insisted on welcoming them properly, though he watched from a distance, giving her space to speak with the newcomers on her own. Here, Miriam said softly, setting the basket on the kitchen table. We baked these this morning. I thought you might like some. Hannah's eyes lit up. Thank you. That's very kind of you. She glanced at her husband, who smiled in quiet appreciation. It smells wonderful. Eli, who had been exploring the yard moments before, now sat on the floor, eagerly nibbling on a small slice of bread. Mama, it's so good. He exclaimed. His laughter filled the small house, echoing off the wooden beams. Miriam felt a warmth spread through her chest as she watched them settle. She realized that even in this brief visit, she could already sense the heart of the Yoder family, their quiet strength, their hope, and the love that bound them together. I should show you the garden, Miriam said, eager to keep them occupied. It's small, but it will give you vegetables for the first few months. The soil here is good. Hannah nodded, following Miriam outside while Samuel lingered to help Eli with a small toy wagon he had found. The garden was neat and orderly, rows of carrots, beans, and lettuce glistening in the afternoon sun. Miriam explained which crops were best for this season, giving tips on planting and watering. Hannah listened intently, asking questions and laughing at Miriam's gentle teasing. Willow Ridge seems very different from Pennsylvania, Hannah said quietly. But I think we'll like it here. I think you will, Miriam replied, smiling. People here care for one another, and there's always help when you need it. You'll fit in quickly if you're willing to work hard. Samuel nodded in agreement. Your guidance is much appreciated, Miriam. It will help our family start well here. Miriam returned home that evening with a full heart, feeling a quiet sense of fulfillment. Helping neighbors, watching Eli run through the fields, and seeing Hannah's peaceful smile reminded her that kindness and community were the foundation of Willow Ridge life. The following days brought a flurry of activity to Willow Ridge. Neighbors stopped by to introduce themselves, bringing small gifts of fresh eggs, preserves, and handmade quilts. Miriam found herself acting as a guide, showing the Yoders the best fields for planting, the paths to the creek, and the local market in the center of town. Each visit deepened her connection to them as friends, but the story of her own future, her own heart, remained her own to discover. Samuel impressed the community with his willingness to work. He helped repair fences, tended to the barn, and offered his strength wherever it was needed. Hannah discovered a natural talent for the craft of homekeeping and weaving. She quickly made friends among the women of Willow Ridge, joining them in the kitchen for bread making and sharing stories during long afternoons of sewing. Eli, full of energy and curiosity, made friends with the local children, exploring the woods, creeks, and meadows that surrounded the town. Through it all, Miriam's thoughts often drifted to Aaron Miller, a young man from the neighboring farm. His easy laugh and steady work ethic had caught her attention in the past, and now she found herself noticing the way he helped with chores, offered a friendly word, or greeted her with a shy smile. Unlike her admiration for the Yoders, her feelings for Aaron carried a hint of excitement and possibility, something that made her heart quicken and her cheeks warm. On Sunday morning, the entire community gathered for church at the meeting house in the center of Willow Ridge. The Yoders attended for the first time, sitting humbly among the familiar faces. Miriam watched Hannah and Samuel, their hands folded, attentive and calm. They were beginning to feel at home. Across the hall, Aaron greeted her with a nod, his eyes meeting hers with a spark of shared understanding. After the service, neighbors lingered to chat, sharing news, lending advice, and offering help. Miriam felt the joy of belonging on every side, the love of family, the warmth of friendship, and the quiet hope of romance yet to unfold. As evening fell, Miriam returned home, her heart full of quiet hope. She thought of the Yoders, of Aaron, and of Willow Ridge itself, a place where new beginnings were possible for everyone. Sitting by her window, she watched the stars begin to twinkle over the hills. Change had come to Willow Ridge, but it was gentle and welcome, like a soft breeze through the fields. And for Miriam, that change carried the sweet promise of friendship, family, and perhaps, love.